It's probably a pretty terrible idea to do a hoax involving ISIS, but one groom decided to do a hoax pretending as though members of ISIS were basically bombarding his own wedding to kidnap people, and his wife actually thought it was funny.
Oh, wow. Now,
So-
you know what? Then you know you got a good match, right?
Yeah.
When you pull an ISIS prank on your wife and she laughs, you've got the right person.
No, this is an amazing story because I went through a roller coaster of emotions when I read about it. So I really
strong.
did. I really did. I really did. Because
You
don't,
cried, you laughed.
Right.
You were on the edge of your seat.
don't do ISIS hoax because you could get someone killed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Someone might have a heart attack because they might actually believe it. But how this all went down basically involved an Egyptian groom. This happened in Egypt. His name is Ahmed Shehata. And apparently, he had some friends dress up as members of ISIS. They came in, and then they started kidnapping people and putting them into a cage. Now, thankfully, the bride knew that it was a hoax. She thought it was funny. And so she says that to ISIS, the message is that the cage you're scaring us with, we are dancing inside it.
No, I'm with Anna on this. Oh, I wouldn't go as far as roller coaster of emotions, but okay. But like in the beginning, I'm like, no, don't do it. When the masked guys run in, I'm like, ah. Remember, 21 Egyptians were just killed by ISIS. God knows what could happen. What if there's somebody in the crowd who doesn't realize it? And so once the bride finally realized it in the cage, then they started dancing. They're like, now we dance. And I was like, that is not the reaction I expected. So I'm like, wait, is it kind of cool that they're dancing inside a fake ISIS cage?
Yes.
And then when she said that quote that Anna just read about like, oh yeah, we dance in your face, challenge you to a dance-off. Then I was like, no, that's a good message.
Yeah.
There's something really strong about it. Let me give you a quote from the groom. He says, "We will scare you because our enjoyment, our happiness, and our weddings will continue whatever you do." And that's
So bring it on,
different from what you see in the United States, right? In the United States, there's so much propaganda and so much fear-mongering, even though ISIS is not an imminent threat to us at the moment, right? And probably never will be.
Yeah.
But in America, we're like, oh my God, ISIS. You see the polls and people are in favor of sending ground troops over there, right? They're freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, we totally let go of our liberties and our rights because we're so worried about the big bad terrorists coming after us. In Egypt, they're like, we're going to dance in cages and you guys can all shut up.
And I have a feeling that Fox and Friends is probably like, how could you joke about ISIS at a wedding? They were so pissed off about the SNL skit, but we didn't have time to get to it in the first hour. But there are multiple whole shows in the Middle East that are just about mocking ISIS. They have one that's basically The Office, but for ISIS. There's one where it's just bumbling new ISIS recruits who can't get stuff done. They like drop rockets on the ground and they get drunk when they're supposed to be stopping people from drinking. And so like people react poorly to this, but they think in the Middle East, comedy is a tool to fight ISIS, and I think that's awesome.
I think
No,
it's
and I get that they were mocking ISIS, but I feel bad for the bride, not just for the wedding thing, but they said that she gave the dark scarf to him, and she was hoping that it would lead to something romantic, but then he used it for this ISIS skit. And I feel bad for her because she clearly just was like, hey, look, I want something kinky, and then he went like total opposite.
I thought it was kinky.
Well, yeah, she said, I was like hoping that he would use this dark scarf for something romantic, and instead he used it to be like ISIS at her wedding. So I feel bad for her.
Well, maybe he went 50 Shades of ISIS on her.
Yeah.
Maybe it turned her on. Maybe she's like, oh my God, my husband's so strong. He's not intimidated by those terrorists.
Those terrorists holding extremely cheap-looking plastic swords, by the way.
طريق الحياة فبين اقتحام يبيد الطغاة وكاتم صوت جميل صدى فقم إلى الحق هيا دعانا لواء لساح المنايا لحرب عداء فمن مات منا فدا عن حماه بجنات خلد سيغدو
of me totally comes
awesome.
out.
Yeah,
As soon as I
to
see
remind
the
you.
Are
band.
you kidding me? All of a sudden, I wanted to go to an Egyptian ISIS wedding. I'm like, da, 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 da. Except they all have daggers in their hands, and I'm like, be careful, be careful. On the other hand, you know, the guy getting married was Ahmed Shehata, right? Somebody gets stabbed, Shehata happens. Way to end on a downer.